Let's be honest, we don't know anything about our elected officials. They're hidden behind curated social media profiles and press releases to the point that they often seem barely human. We're here to break down those barriers and get under the hood of their real character. Our guest today is Amalia Duarte, a councilwoman in Mendham, New Jersey. My name is Scott Salmon, and this is Politically Driven.
Hello?
Hi, Amalia.
Yes, hey, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Are you in my driveway?
I am in your driveway.
I'll be right out.
Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye. Hey there.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You know, Mendham is just this little teeny tiny small town. And so I was involved with the girls basketball league. I played basketball growing up.
Were you
and so, my team did win the state championship.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we did. And one year on my team was Sarah Christie, who was Chris Christie and Mary Pat's daughter. And Mary Pat used to come to all the games.
Yeah.
And Sarah was probably one of the most polite and sweet kids on any team I ever coached. Really, really nice kids. So every once in a while, I'll see Mary Pat at King's, or I'll run into her. In fact, I ran into her on election day.
Oh, really?
When she and Chris came to vote, and she came over and we were talking, and I said, I can't resist, we have to take a selfie. But no, so it's that kind of town. You know, Mendham, everybody kind of knows everyone. And,
Right.
And it's a great community. The post office here in Brookside.
Yeah?
So
There's literally a U.S. Post Office. That looks like it was built a long time ago.
Yeah, and it used to be a little general store right next to it. So this part of town is known as Brookside, and it's got a nice little, almost still a village feel to it.
Yeah, really. It feels like a hamlet.
That's the Brookside Church.
I don't know what a hamlet is, but I know it feels like this.
It's like Mayberry RFD.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how people call it.
Yeah,
so,
very much.
Yeah, and I live a couple streets over,
Right.
but we've got the playing fields down here, the post office, the elementary school. We can check out Brookside Beach if we have time, but this has just got, I feel like a very nice,
Like that.
yeah, some beautiful. We've got a lot of history in Mendham. So I grew up in Summit.
Oh, okay.
So not too far from
So then you really have no excuse.
I have no excuse except that it's 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm only on my second cup of coffee, all right? Here we'd been living in Gillette, and at that point we had one kid, and we were on a beautiful older home, but it was on a busy road.
Right.
So we wanted to get more in a cul-de-sac, a little bit of a quieter street.
Right.
So we were looking around and ended up in Mendham. And I was familiar with Mendham from growing up in Summit. I had gone to Oaknall, and our brother's school was in Delmarton.
Right.
So I used to come over here for dances, and at that point, Mendham was kind of the, I almost want to say the Boondocks, you know. It was not as built up. I mean, this is going back to the late 70s.
When did it start getting more built up, do you think?
When we had a couple of developments go in. I mean, really over time, but I want to say in the 80s and even into the 90s.
Oh,
a number of developments went in, and then there was a movement to buy open space so that the development could be slowed down. My family is from the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
My parents are. So, I mean, they're only political in the sense that they left the Dominican Republic because at that point there was a dictator who was in charge of the country, and you had no freedom. They had a very comfortable lifestyle.
Right.
Both my folks come from comfortable backgrounds, but you didn't have the most important thing, which is freedom. And there was no free elections, no freedom of assembly, and if you got involved in the resistance at that point, you could literally disappear. So a lot of the more, and this happens in countries, the educated folks leave, and so my dad and he's a doctor. People that he'd gone to medical school, a lot of them left and came to the United States, and so he decided to do that. And so he and my mom married in the Dominican Republic. He was able to get a visa and get out, and then and I only recently found out this part of the story, that she was barred. She had trouble getting out of the country.
Really?
And she said to me that because, again, people were trying to get out, that they were holding back on visas.
Right.
And so it took her a year to finally get a visa. And at that point, she'd given birth to my oldest sister. And so my mom said to me that she got the visa and that within a few days she was gone. She had to get out that quickly because she feared that they would rescind the visa.
Sure.
And she wouldn't be able to leave. So my folks came here back in the 50s, and my oldest sister was born back in the DR, but myself, my other sister, my brother, we were all born
How do they move immediately to Summit, or do they go somewhere else?
No, so my dad moved in with a sister who lived in New York.
Okay.
And then he ended up, because he was a doctor, he had to do some medical training here. He had to pass the boards, get his license in this country, which is not easy, of course, and it shouldn't be.
No.
So he passed all those exams, and then he got his license, and he ended up, we were in a small town in Illinois, and he took the boards for New Jersey and California.
Okay.
And he found out that he had passed the board exam for New Jersey first. And so made plans to come to New Jersey, got a job in New Jersey, and then he later found out he also passed California. So he always says that if he'd found out about California
first, then you would end up there.
We probably would have gone that way.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so we moved to Summit. I was in second grade at that point. So I was a Catholic school girl, went to St. Teresa's in Summit. And then I went to Oaknall, and then went off to college. So, yeah.
And what is your first political memory then? The first thing that you remember that had to do with politics?
Yeah, that's a great question, because my first political memory is my birthday is August 8th, and Nixon resigned either right before or right after my birthday. So I do remember sitting in front of the TV watching this, and I'm thinking, this man is spoiling my birthday. I had no idea what was going on.
But you knew that he was spoiling your birthday.
But I just saw this very sad person on TV, and it was my birthday week. I thought, what is happening here? And then probably my next political memory was a friend of mine, and this is going back to when I was in grammar school, and it was the Carter campaign. She wanted us for Halloween to dress up like we were campaigning for Jimmy Carter.
Right.
I don't know why.
Isn't that just regular clothes?
I don't even know what we wore. We might have had little signs or something, but it was funny because in Summit's more of a Republican town, of course, at least at that point.
Yeah.
And so I think our candy count may have been down that year. This playground was what really got me so incensed that I decided to run for town committee. This sign my husband and son built, which is the Rebuild Ralston Playground. They built that in my garage. So I was on the Recreation Commission for about 12 years. I was the chair, the vice chair. We'd sort of, swap that back and forth. And a family in our community lost a child to SIDS. And so this is going back about 16 years ago. They did a big fundraising campaign to build a playground. And we had this wonderful playground that was put in, Ralston Playground. And unfortunately, it was built of wood, and over the years with the storms, etc., it started to fall apart. So it had to be rebuilt and refurbished. And as part of the Rec Commission, we asked for funding.
Sure.
Right? We said, hey, maybe we can do some fundraising, but we need the town to support this. And during that budget cycle, they put nothing into the budget to rebuild the playground.
Do you remember how much you were asking for?
I'm not sure the exact dollar amount off the top of my head, but I do remember they said no. They said no, and during that budget session, a number of us got up and spoke, and folks on the Rec Commission, other people, we got up and said, we need this playground. This is really important to the community. It's our only playground in Mendham.
Right.
You really need to support this.
Yeah.
And it was as though no one had spoken. It fell on deaf ears, and
they had already made up their mind.
They had made up their mind, and I was so furious about that. And I thought, here we are in Mendham, this affluent community, where we want to attract new families, and you're not going to rebuild a playground? I texted a friend of mine from that meeting, and I said, I'm running for township committee.
Really?
And I said to someone later, if they had just said to us, we're going to give you $10,000.
Right.
But it was the attitude of not listening to the community. And that's what got me to throw my hat into the ring. And when I went around town talking to people, guess what? Everybody wanted that playground. But now that I'm on the town committee,
getting the playground?
Getting that playground. There's funding put in the budget this year.
Awesome.
And I also led with the chair of the Rec Commission. We led a private fundraising campaign. And we raised, with our Junior Women's Club, around $70,000. Plus money that we have an annual race in town. We kicked in money from that. So we led this huge private fundraising campaign.
I've never seen a pin like that before. That seems like something that every politician in Trenton would want.
So I'll tell you how I got this pin. So when I was campaigning last year, I was at an event, and Michael Soriano was there. And he was also making a speech or doing some campaigning. And I think it was the first time I met him. And and he said to me,
when is Michael Soriano not giving a speech, by the way?
That's true. This is true. It's a great guy.
Yeah.
So he said to me, he goes, and I may have been wearing an American flag pin, or maybe I wasn't even wearing a pin, but he said to me, I need to give you a pin. And so he literally goes into his pocket and pulls out this pin and pins it on me. And he said, good luck in your campaign. And so
That's
I
awesome.
wore it all through the campaign. I obviously won, and I've been wearing it ever since.
That's
and it's a
amazing.
terrific pin.
You've taken it off since then.
I have not taken it off.
No?
It's on my pajamas too. But now, I'm corny. I'm a big patriot, I love wearing the flag. We are in the middle of our master plan re-examination, not to get too boring.
No, I love this stuff.
People watching this may not. But so that's when you look at your master plan and you look at different aspects of the community, and do you want to change things with zoning? Do you want to continue with what the plan is? And so we did have a meeting recently with the township committee, the planning board. We had resident input, and we're having that conversation because we are trying to determine, do we want to look at changing some of the zoning? We have parts of town that are zoned for 10-acre homes, so you have to have 10 acres to build a house.
Wow.
And these days, younger people, these so-called millennials, they're not as interested in buying a home on 10 acres. And
No. It's not that they're not interested. The banks are not interested in lending to them.
You're right. And as somebody said to me, stop saying that, because what it really is that they are trying to pay off their student loans.
Yes, it is.
And so they're under debt, right? They've got debt. The job prospects are perhaps, limited, right? And I think the other thing that I see, and this is just from my personal experience within my family, that they seem not to want to be as tied down.
Yeah, that's
that they're looking to be more, maybe I'll rent. Cities have made a huge comeback. Yep. So younger couples want to stay near a city or in a city, even to raise a family.
At a minimum near a train line.
Yeah, exactly. How do you attract those younger families?
Right.
What are they looking for in terms of a community? And we've got great schools.
Yeah, that's always the biggest
number
thing.
one.
That's always got to be number one.
But what else can we offer them?
Right.
They're looking for walkability. They're looking for community, a sense of community.
Places they can go out and have a good meal and drink stuff like that.
Exactly. I loved canvassing.
It's the best. It's the best.
I really did, and I think it's because I am a social person, but the other thing is, when I was a kid, I was in Girl Scouts, and this was back in the day when Girl Scouts actually went door to door selling cookies. So I used to go around knocking on doors and selling the Thin Mints and the tag-alongs. So I was very comfortable with doing that. So I thought to myself, this is no different than selling Girl Scout cookies, except in this case, I'm trying to promote myself and my ideas. So I felt really comfortable doing it.
Are you the first Democrat to ever be elected in Mendham?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure about this. I was trying to find out. The first ever?
Yes.
That's
now I'm the first.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Broke through that barrier.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But at the end of the day, I was talking to a friend in town who's a Republican, and she said to me, I wish people would just vote in terms of the person.
Right.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that the issues I talked about resonated with people, whether they were Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated. And they also saw how involved I was in the community, and that I was coming at it from that aspect of volunteerism versus being I still don't consider myself a politician. It's this career politician where people start to end up in a bubble.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They disconnect from their constituents.
Absolutely.
They disconnect from how the rest of the world lives.
It's very easy to get into.
They don't get that their policies are impacting people who are holding down 2-3 jobs to try to get by. That's when I say I don't want to be a politician.
Sure, no, I got you.
That's the piece of it that get out of that bubble.
Yeah.
Stay in your. Come home a lot. If you're in Washington, come home a lot. Meet with people. Go to the deli or the drugstore, whatever it is. Stay connected.